know my moves like my ABC.
We have a serious problem. The internet has been around in the public consciousness for about 20 years or so now, as something reachable to a lot of people and available for daily use, as opposed to a esoteric weirdness only used by nerds. Despite this, the media remains utterly shit at reporting on internet culture, internet happenings, and internet movements, and it continues to be shit at it. Even supposed tech reporters are shit at it. Even people who claim to be online activists and social media mavens are shit at it, or malicious, but let's go with shit because it's more polite. This has been apparent for some time. It was notable with various bits of reporting on 4chan and the party van. It has been notable with reporting on trolling and online abuse. It has been hugely apparent with reporting on Anonymous, and has especially been lacking with reporting on Gamergate. So how can we fix this? Unfortunately for lazy reporters, it's going to take work and learning. Here's a few simple, helpful guidelines on how to do this. Lesson 1. Am I being trolled? If you're going to report on the internet, you need to know what trolling is. You need to see if you're being trolled, and you need to ignore trolling. There's been some pretty high-profile cases of even big news organizations getting this wrong, and it continues to be a problem. So before you invite Godfrey Elfwick onto your radio show to talk about Star Wars, check a few things. Does this person have an established internet history? If they're new, have hardly any posts, haven't bothered with an avatar on their Twitter account and so on, you probably shouldn't take them seriously. Trolls usually end up using what are called burner accounts. Trolls get banned quickly, so they create new accounts constantly. What's their history like? Check through the things they've posted. Go back a reasonably long way when you do so. If it's full of aggravating behaviour, aggression and strangeness, odds are that they're a troll. So stay away. Lesson 2. Understand what a troll is. A troll is someone who pretends to have horrible opinions, or who picks on people online because it amuses them. When you quote online trolls as proof of sexism, racism, or whatever else you happen to be pushing that day, you look like a fucking idiot, and nobody with any genuine experience of the internet is going to listen to you. Trolls are not sincere. The one thing they crave more than anything else is attention. You give it to them on a national and international stage. Stop doing it. You're feeding the problem and demonstrating your ignorance of the internet every time you do. You're making the problem worse. Don't feed the trolls is an internet commandment for a very, very good reason. I do not know why this hasn't sunken in yet. The BBC alone has tracked down and talked to trolls who have admitted that this is their motivation several times, yet the same mistakes keep being made. Additionally, do not call people trolls who aren't. Disagreeing even vociferously and acrimoniously with someone does not make you a troll. Lesson 3. Understand the nature of online movements. Look, I understand that you want a soundbite, you want a spokesman, you want someone authoritative that you can talk to. But, like the spread of any particular given cat picture, it's pretty much impossible to track online movements in that way, and many are actively resistant to the idea of leadership. You're actually going to have to sing for your supper if you want to report accurately, and that means delving into the hashtags, the forums, the IRC logs, the websites, everything. You're going to have to gauge the prevailing feeling, motivation and so on of the movement, and talk about that accurately. Grabbing the first eye-catching troll tweet you see and reporting it as though it represented the entire group will just make you look like a dick, so don't do it. It also means you're far more likely to get trolled because you've shown how naive you are to the ways of the internet. I did a video on the emergent nature of online movements. Go watch that, it'll help. What this really boils down to is that you need to do what you would do at a big physical protest, only better. Talk to some people who are actually involved on the ground, check they're involved, don't fixate on the trolls the way you would fail to report properly on a real-life protest by fixating on black box smashing a few windows. Make the effort. Understand what you're getting involved in. This takes time and energy. Lesson 4. Understand Chan and Anon culture. Often, when a normal person, whatever such a thing is, goes to delving into online culture, they'll find things that upset them. Perhaps a protest group has bombed a hashtag with pornographic images or weird memes. Perhaps they go looking at 4chan or 8chan and see the prodigious usage of the words nigger and faggot and get a dose of the vapours and have to take to their couch. To do so is to misunderstand one of the absolute most important philosophical, if I can call it that, underpinnings of Chan and Anon space online. That all of this shit is meaningless. That when you're anonymous, none of this identity bollocks means a thing, and it probably shouldn't mean anything in real life either. Analogy time. So, let's pretend a black rap star has a song with a chorus consisting of nothing but the word nigger, chanted over and over and over again. Is this newsworthy? Is it a scandal? No. As a black man, he has societal license to use a word that's considered beyond the pale elsewhere. There's other examples, of course, like cunt and faggot, but this is a particularly effective one. You let him off in a way that you wouldn't let off a white person because of his identity, and that you perceive and see his identity. So, some anonymous person on an online image board uses the word nigger, and you react badly. Why? Do you know what colour they are? Do you know what race they are? Do you know anything about any of the people involved? Would it make a difference if they were all black? Would it make a difference if they were all white? Would it make a difference if they were using it in a genuinely derogatory fashion? Would it make a difference if they were using it to get a reaction? Why? Why would any of this matter? Anonymity in this philosophical stance reveals hypocrisy and inequality. When you're anonymous, you're truly equal, and identity politics and getting bound up in it creates obvious inequality. The rough language, the harsh memes, the political incorrectness, such as the supposed anti-Semitism, which is mostly just a means to rile people up, it's all hazing, a means of weeding out people that can't get it or don't get it. This isn't news. I mean, the philosophy would make good fodder for an opinion or discussion piece, being the polar opposite of the otherwise dominant identity politics lobby, but oh my god, they said a bad word, is pathetic and misrepresentative. Just as with the hypothetical rap star, context is all important. Lesson 5. Be fair. Online protests and hashtags are often chaotic and disordered, and they're often exciting and fast-paced. They're also often grossly unfair and misrepresentative, as cases such as Gamergate or Tim Hunt's misreported speech show. In both cases, conventional media failed to do its job of being a more moderating and considered voice, and instead jumped on the bandwagon for clicks. The people an online protest is targeting are more likely to be conventional. A company, a government, a group with a leader, PR soundbites, and so on. The opposition is not as likely to be as polished or organised, so lazy reporting will tend to slant towards the holder of the status quo or the knee-jerk sympathy. You see this with people like Anita Sarkeesian commanding media adoration despite many serious questions about her and her group, and many devastating refutations of her claims. As a woman, and as part of the well-organised feminist lobby, she has a traditional hierarchical organisation behind her, and natural sympathy. But that doesn't mean she's right. If you're going to report on this stuff, you need to be fair, balanced, and complete. And because only one side is likely to be organised and part of the status quo, that's sadly going to take some actual work. Put it this way, if you travelled back in time and were reporting on the Romanian Revolution against Ceausescu, would you actually bother to talk to the protesters? Because that's messy and difficult? Or would you go straight to the dictator and just take his point of view? I think we all know what needs to be done. Lesson 6. Clickbait and gonzo versus your actual journalism. Times are tough. Everybody knows that. Making money via advertising and so on is difficult because of ad block archiving and so on. There seems to be leading sites, even respectable ones, to create a lot of clickbait. Puffed up, made up non-traverses and provocative headlines that are meant to grab people's attention. Ironically, this is much like trolling. You're trying to get a reaction. Trolls do it for the lulz, though. You're doing it for payola. That doesn't make it any better. Clickbait, amongst other issues, including misreporting on online issues, has cost conventional media a massive amount of trust, and it may be irrecoverable. The other problem is that it seems like virtually every news story online is now a personal take. When everything is gonzo, none of it is journalism. And trust me, honey, you ain't Hunter S. Thompson. Gawker is, I think, showing that clickbait is crashing and burning, and there's definitely a gap in the market now for a news site that gives you the news rather than a news. Ironic, really, since objectivity and fairness used to be watchwords in news reporting, and trust was something to cultivate. So, to finish up, really, this all takes work. You have to learn about this new space. You have to learn about what you're reporting on. You have to get down in the trenches and talk to people. You have to gauge. You have to think. You have to use your brain. You can't just regurgitate what you see. And that was a major part of the problem behind reporting on Gamergate. The media came under criticism, the games media. The games media snapped back. The mainstream media picked up on the games media and didn't report on what Gamergate was saying. And so we ended up with a hugely misguided, one-sided report of the whole event. And that is a problem with ethics in journalism as a whole. You can keep up with what I'm doing at postmortemstudios.wordpress.com, which also has links to everywhere that I sell my products. You can also keep up with me on Twitter at Grimachu, and if you would care to support my work, you can support me at Patreon, again at Grimachu. Anything you give there will be used to better future further projects. Thanks.